This is a complete diversion from all my other videos. As time marches along, most people seem to dwell on somber thoughts. Happily, I don't. When the time comes to depart, let it take me. Anyway, continuing. I think my life has been surrounded by assorted fads. Probably the two most long-lasting fads. Sorry, I don't have a script. I'm not reading from anything. But back to the fads. My two most long-lasting fads are koi and various forms of music. So I won't consider them to be fads. But my life has been spent getting excited about the normal fads that we humans sometimes come across, and they stay in our memories. And well, here are a few of the fads I've experienced. Whenever I went to Japan in order to buy koi, I always managed to come back with a Japanese-made Zippo lighter. Now, I don't know how this came to be. It was just a fad that whenever I was wandering about Nagaoka, I'd pop into a local store and buy a Japanese-made Zippo lighter. And I ended up with so many lighters that my good friend Cliff Fleming, who used to work with me at Infiltration, said, "Wow, you've got so many Zippos there, I think I should make you a cabinet for them." And he did. He didn't just make the cabinet, he put it on my wall, fastened it to my wall, and it's here now today. Now, I appreciate Japanese Zippo lighters because of their sheer workmanship and attention to detail. I don't use them, but I do keep them in the display cabinet. Many people remark on the collection. So this is one of my other fads. And they are beautifully made. This one is in, it's overlaid with mother of pearl. And I think it's beautiful. There we go. Moving on, and also things I found in Japan that fascinated me were knives. Now, believe me, I wouldn't know how to hold a knife in anger. But this is one of the first knives I bought. I don't have such a huge collection, but I do admire the workmanship and attention to detail. It's a fold-away pocket knife made by a Japanese company called Kai in Japan. It was very cheap. It was I rarely use it today, and the blade really is due for sharpening, but like I say, I don't use it. In fact, a Stanley knife is far more useful for opening boxes and packages than this knife is. Nonetheless, I just love the finish to it. Still with knives in mind, this is a knife that was presented to me back in 2010 by Susan Campbell, and this really is beautiful. It was made in France, and it is so wonderfully made. It's a long knife, but the spring is so tight that it takes a bit of strength to open it. I know it's a big knife, and I know I could never even dream of using it in anger, but I wouldn't even know how to hold it in anger. But it's so well made. It's I'm sure it's dangerous also, although I don't want to try it. I'll just keep it locked away in its sheath, which is another work of art in itself. Let me check I put it back in the right way. No, I haven't. Oh, that's better. My fad with knives is still with me today, although it's still only a fad. And some years ago, when I was taking a flight to Orlando in the USA, in Florida, I had, I don't know why, but on the plane journey over there, which I don't like at all, I remembered a song that was sung by a guy I like to listen to. His name was Guy Clark. And he wrote a song called The Randall Knife. I don't know why, but I happened to be humming this song to myself on the plane, and I knew all the words to the song. And one of the verses says, if a finer blade was ever made, it was probably forged in hell. Anyway, I got to the hotel where I was giving the lecture, and by then I was convinced that every American person in the world would know what a Randall knife was. So I asked them, as we were having a drink at the bar, I asked all of them, and not one person had ever heard of this knife, which did surprise me. I thought it was a common household term over there. But just over the street from the hotel we were staying in was an air-conditioned shopping mall. And I couldn't stand the heat, but I managed to get over the road to the shopping mall, air-conditioned. And when I got there, I found amongst all the other shops and stores there was a knife store. So I walked into the door, and a large guy behind one of the counters said, in an American accent, "Can I help you, sir?" I said, "Yes, I'm wondering if you have any Randall knives for sale." So he looked at me and got a stepladder out and moved it to some displays that were on the back wall. He climbed up to one of the displays, and fumbled around a little bit and came back with a small box about this size. And he brought it down to me, opened the box, and said, "This is the only Randall knife we have in stock." Now, it's a second-hand version from 1915, and I can sell you this for $2,300. I thought, what? 2,300? And then he said, "Look, the Randall Knife Factory is only about 3 miles from here. Why not go and see what they have for sale?" So back to the hotel I went, and I asked if anyone had a vehicle they could share with me and make a journey, because I had the map to get there. Anyway, there was a Chinese couple from Canada who had come down to make the lecture, and they said, yeah, we'll take you there, Peter. So into the car we went. The car also had air conditioning. Um, anyway, we did find the place. It was the end of a dusty kind of track. Um, in or near the hotel. And as we approached it, I read the sign that said, "The Randall Knife Factory." I thought, well, I just didn't know what to think. We went into the shop, and the guy said again to me, "Can I help you, sir?" I said, "Yeah, I'd like to buy a Randall-made knife." Anyway, a friend who was with me just said to me at the time, I'll never forget it. He said, because there were so many knives on sale there, he said, "Well, if you're going to buy one, why not buy a big one?" So I did buy a big one. Looks a bit like the one Crocodile Dundee had. Uh, there's what holds it into the case. So if you release that, oh, and by the way, this is a sharpening block if you ever need to use it. Now, so with the, well, here it is. You see, it's pretty heavy to even hold. It's got I'm told it is a Bowie knife, and is pretty sharp, although I've never used it in anger, and unlikely I'll ever do so. But oh well, I could buy it quite freely and cheaply. It cost me about I think it was about I think it cost me about in English pounds maybe about £150, and yeah, that's the right way back. The story doesn't end there. I had to bring it back to England with me, and when I got to customs declaration in Orlando, they said, "Do you have anything to declare?" I said, "Well, yeah, I've got this knife." And they looked at it with horror and said, "Well, this will have to travel with the pilot in his private cabin on the return journey. I said, well, that's fine, no problem. And I expected the exact same thing to take place when I finally got off the flight in Manchester. So, as per usual, I went through the red channel, items to declare. The official there said, well, what have you got to declare, sir? I said, I've got this knife. And he took a quick look at it. He said, oh, no problem, just carry on through. And that's how I got the Randall knife back into my place. Thanks for listening.